In this week's episode, Keith, Michael, and Tom cover various topics. Initially, the conversation revolves around the Detroit Tigers, their performance in the ALDS. The discussion shifts to the 2026 Michigan gubernatorial race, detailing candidates such as Lieutenant Governor Garland Gilchrist, Secretary of State Jocelyn Benson, and former Mayor Mike Duggan. Additionally, discussions touch upon broader national issues, including the ongoing federal government shutdowns, impact, an aggressive police raid in Chicago, threats of nationalism, and potential civil unrest. The dialogue also covers efforts around advocacy and protests against authoritarianism in Michigan, emphasizing public mobilization. Hey, what's going on, Keith Pickens?
What's going on, TC? How you doing, man?
I'm doing fantastic. Mike Miller, how you doing today?
Hey, Tom Corley, hey, Keith Pickens, how you guys doing?
Or should I say, what's going on, Michael Miller?
That's right. What's going on? What's going on?
All right.
Yeah.
Hanging in there.
All right. I know we were going to have a lot of subjects today, but I have to apologize because when I said Michigan gubernatorial, I thought it was next month. It's not until 2026. But it doesn't hurt to talk about it because they've got a lot of candidates on both sides. But let's kick off with a wrap-up of our Detroit sports, starting with going day order. Tigers. 15 innings, Keith.
Yeah, that was
0 of 6. Everybody, your namesake has 0 of 5.
Yeah.
Did I say it again? 15 innings?
15 innings. It was, and look, I watched every inning, every pitch, and for more or less enjoyed the game thoroughly, except for the outcome. But it played the way I thought it would. Pitching is real tough in the off season during the playoffs, I should say. And if you watch any of the other games, they're not really high scoring contests. If you harken back to our last episode, I talked about some things that played out during the game in terms of A.J. Hinch's judgment, taking out Scooble. And worse than that even is bringing in Conley to face batters in the last inning, and he didn't get a single batter out. I could have predicted it. I'm not sure why he couldn't have. I could be absolutely critical, but at the same time, I have to say it was a great season. 2 years running in the playoffs. They're taking steps. And so at the end of the day, even though I'm not satisfied, obviously, that they lost, I'm satisfied that they were able to go so far and that I got to watch some extra baseball. So go Tigers.
Go Tigers.
Yeah. I just wish they could have gotten, what's the pitcher they could have got back? He used to be with us before.
Flaherty pitched.
Oh, gosh. I got who it was.
Reese Olson was out.
The pitcher rated some time ago.
Not Verlander.
Yes. It's a comeback.
Yeah,
I couldn't think of his name. Right. And the Tigers traded for another pitcher. Didn't they end up sending him to the minors?
They actually sent to the minors. They got several pitchers, actually, Mike, and all of them had ERAs over 5, which is really not good at all. Most of those guys didn't pan out, and they either didn't make the playoff roster or we released them. But Justin Verlander, that was a sexy pick. It would have been a gamble. You would not have thought at his age he would have been able to pitch as well as he did. He is going to be a Hall of Famer for sure, first ballot. But that was a high risk. As much as I would have liked to have seen that happen, I wasn't overly disappointed that it didn't. But you're right. Hindsight is 20/20. It could have made a difference all the way around in the playoffs.
Yeah, like you said, go Tigers. They did a good job. The end of the season knocked them down. But they get up. They'll be okay. They'll bounce back next year. Contender. So,
as a side note, I was listening to a press conference today with Scott Harris, the general manager, and A.J. Hinch, and there were a lot of questions asked, and a couple of things concerned me. One was that they didn't say this directly, but indirectly, that they're not necessarily committed to bringing Scooble back. I got a sense that it's hit or miss, and it's going to depend on how much, and I'm sure that he'll probably get paid more than anybody has ever been paid before. Unfortunately, Chris isn't one to necessarily open the pocketbook. So I'm not saying that he's gone, but I didn't like them necessarily saying 100%, yeah, we're going to commit to him. And then Torres, who we brought in on a 1-year contract, who played second, who was essentially our best hitter or our best contact hitter. He didn't have the best batting average after all was said and done, but he was our best contact hitter. He didn't strike out a lot. And we had him on a 1-year deal, and he used to play for the Yankees. And he was asked a question, and he said he earned the right to be a free agent, which, in other words, he's saying he can go to the highest bidder, which likely won't be us. So there's a good chance those two won't be back, and they're relying on bringing up the young kids that are in the minors now and going all in on them. It'll be interesting to see what happens next year.
Yeah, I have to agree with that because we only had one experienced post player. Was it Torres? Because he was with the
Torres.
Yankees? Yeah. But I don't know what to say, man. The fact that those guys, the bats weren't working for that series,
Right,
I just don't
right,
understand
right.
that happened. Michigan got their butts kicked this weekend. I don't know if you guys watched that game. I watched that game, and it was
I thought
was
about you as
painful.
I passed by it a couple of times. I did check the score, and I just didn't see a point. At one point, I think they were losing 31-13 because the score was inverted. So I was like, wow, that's interesting.
Yeah.
But that wasn't the expectation. I thought that they would have more fight in them. I thought that they would win, actually.
Yeah.
And to see that they just got pulverized like that, I thought that
Right.
was disappointing. But all the way around, when we get finished talking, we'll find that it was a bad weekend for all Michigan teams, I should say.
Yeah.
I didn't expect Michigan to win, personally. Only because, wasn't that, they were playing UCLA, right?
No.
No, USC.
Yeah, USC, yeah.
And that was their homecoming game.
Okay.
That's why I didn't expect Michigan to win. Because, look, homecoming game, your team has extra incentive.
Yeah.
You know, you always have to.
They weren't a top 25 team.
They'll have to be. It's their homecoming game.
That's what I'm saying.
It's homecoming. They're going to do all they can to win, and they let it all hang out, and they won. So that's okay. Michigan will be all right. They'll be all right.
The things that didn't happen was, one, they didn't let Bryce throw a lot.
Do they ever let their quarterbacks throw a lot?
No, that's not their MO. I thought going after this guy, they would change that up. The defense just left holes everywhere. Guys are running 30 yards a play from the backfield. So I don't know. It was painful to watch, but I am a true Michigan fan. I can handle it. I'll just press on.
Like Mike said, by and by, they've got a good program. And 9 times out of 10, they'll be fine. That may have been an anomaly. Sometimes you just don't prepare well enough. And whatever schemes they drew up, they just didn't work this weekend. You got to look to the future because that one's
Right.
gone.
They even went out a day early.
Yeah.
Earlier than they did last
Yeah.
time, right? We're talking about that, you know,
Yep. It was a
to
big
get
deal.
more acclimated to the time change. And yeah, it still didn't work out for them,
I
but
don't
that's
know.
okay.
Working out in the Chargers stadium got in their heads.
Maybe, yeah.
And we did have Haynes, a key player. He was out.
Okay.
Yeah, so that was a key player. But anyway, Lions on Sunday at night, they didn't do what I expected them to do going into KC. Even though we came there with a better record, that KC got beat last week. So that generally always seems to be an opposite effect when it comes to the next week's game.
They actually lost 2 straight.
Yeah. Ironically, they were a 2.5-point favorite going into that game. Even though our record was 4-1, I think the record was 2-3, maybe 2-3, 2-3.
Yeah.
They were the favorite, and I think that the pundits were saying because for 2 reasons. One, they were improving every week, which all professional teams try to do. They try to eliminate their errors and so forth and clean up some things and get better. And 2, it was detrimental because no football team that started 2-4 even made the playoffs, let alone went to a Super Bowl. The writing was on the wall if you go by history and so forth. Not that it was impossible, but it was unlikely that if they had gone to 2-4, it could have been season ending to the extent. That's a big hole to climb out of. We, quite frankly, we had some injuries in the secondary. But I think there was a couple of things that beat us specifically. One thing that you never see happen over the last 4 or 5 years is that Amon-Ra dropped a pass that would have given us a first down. Lord knows we probably would have pressed on. We probably would have won. Not won, but we'd have been more competitive and maybe had won. And the other thing, we went down in the red zone and didn't score. So that's never good. We had I think it was Hutch. There was a roughing the passer that gave them a first down and 15 yards and continued their momentum. Football is a game of momentum, as you guys know.
Is. Yeah.
And when the momentum was snatched from us in those 3 incidents, it all but killed our spirit. We just dug such a hole because we couldn't stop them. And like the coach said, we had to score at least 30 points, which if we had, we would have won.
Right.
And when we didn't capitalize on those scoring opportunities, we dug ourselves a hole that we couldn't climb out of. It was an any given Sunday mentality for me, not to mention because of their history over the last 7 to 8 years, or however long it's been. How can you ever count them out and count them out at home? As the coach stated, we were going to have to score because we were decimated on the back end. We were going against a future Hall of Famer, Patrick Mahomes, and his coach, Andy Reid, two future Hall of Famers. It was a big challenge, a big hill to climb, and unfortunately, we didn't get to the top of the hill.
All right. Mike's rules are rules, but that call not being a touchdown hurts.
You mean the
Golf.
Oh, yeah. Well, he was supposed to stop and set, even for a second.
Yeah.
Just shoot, and then he just kept running.
Yeah.
That's okay. I didn't think Detroit would win. I did hope that it would be a closer game. But after Kansas City had lost 2 straight, and now they're coming back home, it's nothing like some home cooking. And that's just what it was. And like he said, our secondary was decimated. If you noticed, at first, Mahomes was completing all those passes, and the defensive backfield was doing a good job of keeping those receivers in front of them. But they can only do that for so long.
And there was a lot of pressure, too. I don't know if they had any sacks, but they continued to put pressure on him. And when you put pressure on him, he's rushing the throw.
Oh, yeah.
And it was just so many, anything that could have gone wrong.
Yeah. Like you said, the 3 or 4 plays there could have totally changed that game. But that's okay. We coming back Monday night against Tampa Bay, who's also a hot team right now, surprisingly.
Oh, my God. Let's not even talk about Tampa Bay. I want to share this with you guys, though, because everybody was concerned about us not having adequate edge rushers or not adding a significant edge rusher, and everybody wanted Zadarius Smith to come back. Today, he announced his retirement.
Wow.
Yeah, Zadarius Smith is with the Eagles, and I don't know what the reason was. Maybe because they don't have a good record, and it doesn't appear that they're going to go as far as they did last year, winning the Super Bowl. But, yeah, I just thought about what if we had signed him to a contract, and then he ended up bowing out anyway. There's a shout-out to Brad Holmes for me, because people were second-guessing him and doubting him to that extent. Zadarius Smith has hung him up. Next week will be tough, though, Mike. You're right.
Yeah, Tampa Bay always seems to have our number.
Baker Mayfield is playing out of his mind, though. I mean, they're comeback kids.
He is. Our secondary, I don't know if they'll be healthy enough by next week. I doubt it. Might be in the same situation. I'll have to devise another game plan to beat Tampa Bay.
Tyrion will still be out. DJ Reed will definitely be out another 2 or 3 weeks. Brian Branch may get suspended based on what happened last night. At altercation after the game. Yeah, we'll be challenged next week, but yeah, that's sports in the Motor City. Did we miss something, Mr. Corley?
No, in fact, when you guys were talking, I was thinking about going back to that Michigan game, how the quarterback at USC didn't have the ball more than a minute and a half.
Yeah.
He was quick release every single time. Michigan had in their mindset they were going to do the rush, and they couldn't get to him. They were gone, already over 20 yards down on the field. So I was just thinking about that when you guys were talking about.
So you meant literally seconds, obviously, because not a minute, because that would.
I'm sorry. Did I say minute? Yeah, I meant the second.
I knew that you meant that. I didn't want you to come across as being like a minute. You can probably eat a whole sandwich back there and at least take a bite out of one.
Yeah, a second and a half. Oh yeah, less than 2 seconds, the ball was gone. Yeah. I'm a year out. I'm super early on our governor race, because it's not done until 2026. I was confusing it with the mayoral race that's taking place next month. It's a crowded field here in the state of Michigan, but I want to focus on 4 candidates.
Okay.
One being Lieutenant Governor Gilchrist, Jocelyn Benson,
Secretary of State.
John James, Mike Duggan.
Not Mike Cox.
No, not Mike Cox. Mike Cox is always trying to run for something.
I know.
What about that Rogers guy? He's trying to put his name in the hat.
It's about 9 people, like Tom said. Narrow it down to 4. We can dissect it the best we can.
Yeah. Early on in the summer, they were saying that the leading candidates will be Jocelyn Benson and John James. They did this in so many different ways, Garland Gilchrist.
Yeah.
What do you think, Mike? Why do you think is that because that position, Lieutenant Governor, never gets any respect, period?
Correct.
But they're part of the decision-making if they're part of the team.
That is true. but it's still tough as lieutenant governor to get any real traction. The press goes toward what the governor says, and Secretary of State and the
Attorney
state
General.
senators, Attorney General, don't really pay attention to the lieutenant governor. Not that, like you said, not that position is not important, because obviously it is, but it's just tough to get traction, political traction, coming from that position. I don't think he did anything bad or wrong. You know what I mean?
Right.
No, I don't think whoever was in that position, the same thing would have happened. They would not be able to get too much traction because the AG and Secretary of State and what is John James? Representative, right. They're going to get more press,
U.S.
more
representative,
traction.
not the state, but
Right,
U.S.
not the
representative.
state, right.
Yeah. When I see the governor, I always see him right next to her when it's being spoken about. Even sometimes when it's not even a major situation, but I do see him. He's not always, he's in the background, of course, but he's not at the scene. It's surprising that he's not getting the traction, or at least breaking that mold of getting traction. I think he would be a good governor.
He would definitely be a
yeah.
good governor. I think in a lot of ways, though, lieutenant governors balance out a ticket. They're not necessarily head on with or specifically step in step with the governor, whoever that governor might be, but they balance the ticket. I can't speak to this because I'm not 100% sure, but I don't think that many lieutenant governors end up becoming governors after the governor has left the office. Combined with the fact, now I could be wrong about this, I know early on, or I have yet to hear anything about him being endorsed by our governor.
That's always an unfortunate situation that they don't do that right away. Kind of wait. If they're going to do it, they wait to the last minute. Sometimes it's too late.
Yeah, it's hard to gain any significant traction if you're not being supported by the person that you were the lieutenant governor for.
Right.
And to your point, he seems very intelligent, very articulate. He rolls up his sleeves and he's right there wherever she is, helping to get things done. He could be a viable candidate, but he has a line of ground to make up. You don't hear them say much about him at all, which I guess if you were taking a poll, that would mean that he's trailing the other three candidates that we're going to be talking about in the coming minutes.
The thing is, at this point, you're out. You got to have, like you said, in regards to a mayoral race, you got to have money. You got to start collecting these dollars now in order for you to get your voice heard.
Yeah, get your message out.
Yeah.
Not to add a little levity here.
I like
Do you guys watch Miss Governor? I believe that is hilarious.
Yes.
Because she's governor.
Yes.
And the governor passed, that argument. She became governor. That is hilarious. That's
It
hilarious.
is hilarious.
That's
I was thinking about
hilarious.
that show when we were talking, man. Yeah.
That's good.
Because she went to the pig meats and the pie eating contest and all
Right.
those really important things that the governor couldn't get to.
Correct. That was hilarious. Oh,
Yeah.
man, that's a pretty good show. Okay,
It is.
moving on.
As we were saying, it seems like Jocelyn Benson is a front runner for the Democratic side.
Mm-hmm.
She's Secretary of State. So what do you think?
I like Jocelyn Benson. I don't know if I like her enough to be governor, but tongue in cheek, backing that up, I wouldn't have an issue with her being governor. Even though she was the Secretary of State, she is very strong in her conviction. She does what she says she's going to do. She's a candidate for the people. When I say for the people, all people, she's more progressive. She's not leaning to the right. She leans more to the left. But if I was really judging her, I would say she's maybe center left. She seems to be fair-minded in terms of just really taking her job seriously and getting it done for the people. And yeah, I have no problem with Jocelyn Benson being a viable candidate for the governor positions.
What do you say,
Yeah.
Mike? What do you see?
Yeah, I'd like Jocelyn too. She's a fighter. She don't take no stuff. Mama don't take no stuff. So that's what we want, somebody that's not going to take any stuff. So yeah, she has my support. If that's what it takes, that's what it takes. But yeah, no, I don't have a problem with her. I don't have a problem at all.
So with this candidate, Mike Duggan, How do you think that's going to play out on the Democratic side? The theory is, or the myth, it could be a myth, is that he's going to split the vote on the Democratic side.
And he could, but if he's going to split it, he might need to hold back on his opinion about cuts to Medicaid and things that the MAGA people have embraced. Because what he said when he decided to run was, if people wanted to relish a two-party system, then maybe they don't want to vote for him, because he's going to be an independent. He's going to be that guy that brings the Republicans and the Democrats together in terms of how he handles his business. And he's made some comments recently supporting, not wholeheartedly, the MAGA concept of what Trump is espousing, but some of the things he said, you know what? Yeah, I can roll with that. I think about the Medicaid cuts specifically, Mike, go back and look at it. If people really pay attention to him as he tries to work both sides of the road, it might be a little difficult. To the extent that it could pull from the Democrats, he could very well split the ticket. I was thinking the same on the Republican side. They've got 5 candidates. No, the Republicans have 5 candidates. Then we've got the independent with Duggan, and then we got the 3 Democrats. When it plays out, I'm not sure who they're going to land on, but it's certainly possible that as an independent, he could split the ticket. If he keeps talking like a Republican, he might pull some of those votes.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting that you should bring this up now, because on Friday I was polled. I received a phone call, and the guy said, this is something. I didn't know it was a political poll until I said, yeah, I'm going to give my opinion. It was about the governor race. Mm-hmm. It was leaning toward Duggan. He was really asking, do I think Duggan, as a person who can bring people together, would he be able to do that in Lansing? The way the question was worded. Remember, I used to love the statistics class at Western Michigan University. I loved that class. I wish I had pursued that more, because you can make a poll come out any way you want it to, with your margin of error, and it's a whole lot of ways to make a poll come out the way you want it to. Anyway, I was very astute and listening very carefully, how these questions were worded. So it was obvious that this particular poll was a pro-Duggan poll. Mm-hmm. And I told them that, no, I don't think that Duggan could bring both sides of the aisle together in Lansing. They didn't ask me why, but the reason why is because, number one, the west side of the state still views him as Detroit.
Yes.
And yes, he ran in Detroit as a Democrat. Now he's running as an independent because the Democratic Party is trash right now. It is hard in certain places to run as a Democrat. But what has happened here in Michigan, we are seeing that more and more of those MAGA people don't agree with these Medicare and Medicaid cuts at all, because it's affecting them directly. Why they were yelling at their representatives, and the representatives were canceling the town hall meetings. So can Duggan win? Yes. Is he going to split the ticket? Yeah, he can. He's going to split the ticket on both sides, the Democrats and the Republicans. And they were asking me about John James. I said no. I just straight up told them no. And they asked me about Benson, and I was pro Benson through the whole thing, through the whole interview. So that's where I'm at. I don't think Duggan can pull it off, because he's going to split both tickets. But I don't think enough people trust him from the right to put him in as governor. Oh, John James, no. There was something about Trump not wanting John James to run for governor.
Was that right?
Yeah, there was something. I can't put my finger on it. I have to research that. There was something about he wanted somebody else to run. He was supporting somebody else. He didn't want James to do this. He's not going to win anyway.
You know what, Mike? Here's my thing. Well, let me back up for a second. I had to take statistics 3 times in order to get a B. Let me start there.
You did get a B.
I had to take that class 3 times to get a B in it.
Wow. Okay.
So I like it, but obviously I don't like it that much. But here's what I've noticed going back and forth to the west side of the state. There's a lot of Duggan billboards on that side once you get past Battle Creek or something.
Yeah.
He's got the money, but I don't see that over here on our side. I don't going down 94 or up 75. I don't see Duggan billboards. Up 127, maybe he's got some billboards going through Lansing.
Yeah.
Tom, some things you can take for granted. You might feel that.
Yeah, exactly. That's my point, Keith. That's my point. Figure because Keith, one of you guys are saying, I think it was you, Keith. You were saying, the right or the left, and I'm saying the east side or the west side of the state.
Okay.
Because there's a different environment over on the west side of the state. They think very differently than we do over on this side. Having said that, I think it's also a possibility that he would split the votes on the Democratic side as much as he would on the Republican side. And the reason I say that is because he wants to be right down the middle in his policy making. He's already got, what's his name, the billionaire backing him. Not DeVos, the Penske's putting money in his pocket.
I'm not surprised about it.
Yeah. But they have a relationship based on what they did here in the city of Detroit.
Absolutely.
That doesn't bother me. That will bother a lot of other folks on the west side of the state or the east side of the state. A lot of people assume that he's going to be in the pocket of the Republicans because of that. And he may sway a lot of his decisions on the Republican side. But that, I just wanted to point that out. What'd you say, Keith, about Duggan?
Again, like I said, he is playing the middle. Right. And I think that when you play the middle, you lose. And then when I say lose, I don't necessarily mean outright because anything could happen. But all of those people that voted for him in the city.
Well, let me ask you that question. Would you guys have voted for him in Detroit? If you were a resident of Detroit, would you have voted for him, Mike, Keith?
Not necessarily. Not the first time, probably, because there were some candidates that I was interested in. But after he kind of dug in, no pun intended, and he started being successful around being able to bring business and money and so forth. And when you go downtown and see all that has developed since he's been a mayor, I may have come around to him. But that very first time, there were some other candidates that I would have likely supported initially.
All right.
But did I come to appreciate everything that he's done? Absolutely. I can't predicate it on anything but results. And he definitely has had results. And when you talk about politicians, he was a politician. When you define what a politician is able to do in terms of just getting things done, working with different people, he still could have done a lot more in the city. But whoever does go deep into the city to do the types of things that they suggest. But he got some street lights on, he got people's garbage picked up, so forth and so on. Just little things, but he seems sincere for all his word. But people are saying now that he's decided to go independent, he's really playing the political game. Some are even suggesting that he might be showing his true colors. I don't know what that means altogether.
Yeah, I've heard.
But if he can get things done on behalf of Michigan, God bless him. But I just think that it's not going to be easy. I just, like Mike said, right now, I don't have anything against Gilchrist. It's just that there's not a lot coming out about what he's able to do and if he'll be able to do anything at all in terms of support. But Jocelyn Benson certainly seems like somebody who, like I said earlier, she'll be a fighter for the people. She's really intent. When she says she's going to do it, she does it. And she, like Mike said, she's a fighter. And that's what you need. She's not going to back down. She's a pit bull. She's not going to back down. And as far as Duggan, I think that she would be a big challenge to him on the Democratic side. And I don't know if it will be James or even Cox on the Republican side, but he's putting himself right in the middle, and he thinks it's going to work, but I think he's got a bigger challenge than he realizes. It's going to be tough.
So, Mike, would you have voted for him?
Not the first time. I agree with everything Keith said.
Yeah.
There were other candidates that first time around, but once he got in and started doing stuff, it is what it is. Like he said, the street lights were on, garbage got picked up. He did solve a lot of the problems. It is what it is. So you got to take the good with the bad. I would say he did way more good within the city. So no, I'm not going to say that the second time, probably, because that second time he's already in and stuff is already being done.
Yes.
So you don't want to stop that momentum. And as things kept developing, you don't want to stop that momentum. So, yeah, you would keep voting for him as long as things were developing the way they were. No, I don't have a problem at all. I would not have had a problem at all voting for him the second or third time.
For what it's worth, I would have voted for Duggan the first
Okay.
time. Yeah. I remember that, what, it's been 12 years since he's been mayor? Yeah.
Yeah.
A time like you, Mike and I didn't have a vote either.
Yeah.
We were on the outside looking in.
Right.
Yeah. Keith, you were having a thought on Duggan in regards to him being independent and towing the line. And I mentioned him being with the millionaires. Do you have anything else you want to add to that?
I think he's savvy, but sometimes you can overplay your hand. I was surprised when he pledged to be an independent, but I think that was more about getting away from all that's going on or not going on with the Democratic Party. You want to divorce yourself from that chaos, right? This thing was, I can't go right. That's way too extreme for me, and I've been a Democrat all this time. But I can do a Bernie Sanders. I can get right in the middle.
Right.
And try to do what's right for everybody, because I think the pledge should be unlike what's going on today. Regardless of what party you represent, once it's all said and done, you should represent everybody, not just one or the other, which is what's going on now, which is tearing our nation apart. But if he can make it work, and for all that he's done with Detroit, if he can continue to bring those dollars together and build up the state, then I wouldn't have a problem with him either. But to the extent that like I said earlier, if I was voting today, there's a good chance it would be for Jocelyn Benson.
Well, Trump won the state, right? What is the probability, going back to statistics, but what is the likelihood that we will get a Republican governor this time around? I know we sent Alyssa Slotkin. We got the Senate seat, and seat is up again. And not her seat, but Peter's seat is up. So are we going to split the Senate seats and then have a Republican governor?
I think we're going to have a Democratic governor, and that seat will also be Democratic. I really do believe that enough people on the right are fed up with what has happened. And they were saying, okay, hold up, made a big mistake. If you you put more people in office that's going to continue that, I just don't see it. So even from the west side of the state, I think we're going to get enough votes for candidate for governor and that Senate seat to put a Democrat in. If it's not Duggan as governor, then it would be a Democrat in both the governor and the Senate seat.
Gary Peters.
Yeah, because he's resigned, right? He's resigned. He didn't.
I thought he was going to retire.
Retired. That's what I mean.
He retired. But what Mike said.
I don't know, man. The state of Michigan is hard to figure out. In fact, the Midwest is hard to figure out.
Period.
Wisconsin,
Ohio,
and pieces of Pennsylvania. It's hard to figure out. But in particular, Wisconsin, Michigan, and Ohio, Trump won those states. Again, we've had the conversations in previous episodes where we think things are going to shift. Coming the election are going to be elections. We all agree that it's not going to be elections, right?
I agree. That's what I say.
I'll believe it, Tom, when it happens. Okay?
If it's not rigged in his favor, if he doesn't get enough seats, redistrict trying to do, no, there won't be any election. He is not going to give up power no kind of way.
I'm thinking they're doing everything. I'm not the best chess player, but I know in chess, when you come up with certain moves, everything you do, you strategize to checkmate, to grab that king. Yeah. And they're playing chess. They're putting a lot of pieces in place to make happen, even if, to your point, Mike, for whatever reason, whether it's an insurrection or whatever he wants to claim to stop elections, if he can't get the methods in place to rig the votes, per se, by having all of these Trump loyalists in place, then he's going to do everything in his power. But I think what happens is, before we get to that point, when you get what you just agreed to, Mike, Michigan putting in a Democratic or independent governor, when you have Gary Peters, who had been in, I don't know if he was in the 13th congressional district, I can't remember which district he was at, but when you get that seat replaced by another Democrat, because he's held that seat for so long, the people are speaking. And when the people begin to speak at the grassroots, then it resonates. And so if it happens here, it could happen in other states. And basically what happens is we just need to turn a few numbers, which is why the Republicans are so heavy into redistricting. Obviously, they got it done in Texas. I think they're trying to get it done in Louisiana and various other places. They're looking at J.D. Vance was twisting somebody's arm in another state. They're really working hard at redistricting to swing the votes so that if there are elections, and I think that there will be, they'll have the majority that they need based on redistricting. But the way things are going, the way he's impacting healthcare, the way he's impacting the cost of food and everything else, red or blue, you can only handle or you can only sacrifice so much in the name of supporting MAGA and billionaires. At some point you wake up and you realize that you drank the Kool-Aid and you lived to drink it, but while you were drinking it, you were delusional. Now you got to wake back up because it's not just impacting them, it's impacting you too.
Right.
The only way that you can make a difference is with your voice, by voting. We've seen a couple of incidents where they thought a Republican was going to win seats, and I can't name the states, unfortunately, but I saw that there were some situations where they thought a Republican candidate would win, and in fact, the Democratic candidate won. If it continues to happen across all of the states, it begins to sway things, and it begins to speak, and it begins to resonate. Slowly but surely, the power is taken back. I refuse to believe this is an assault on the democracy. I refuse to believe that we're just going to go out like that without putting up a fight. I'm optimistic. It's too easy to be pessimistic, and plus it's depressing to be pessimistic. I'm just going to put my faith in the fact that it's happening now. It was inevitable at some point because that's the type of country we live in where you had a right to express yourself. And that as long as we had a right to express ourselves, there's a chance that we can turn back towards democracy. And yeah, I'm not counting this out yet, guys.
Okay.
Okay.
Real quick, it was not part. It was mentioned in my group chat with Kurt. Now there's supposed to be a day of recognition for him, and then there's also a conversation about his organization having an alternative Super Bowl halftime event.
I hadn't heard much about the day of recognition for him. I'm just going to leave that alone. But that alternate performance, I was reading a post here, and they said, so this is the plan. We're supposed to watch, to be clear, the plan is to watch the NFL, watch the ads, and pump up viewership numbers. Buy the team merch, cheer on the teams. But at the moment the halftime show goes on, they'll watch an internet stream for a few minutes. Yeah, great plan. You really showed them. Just because they don't like Bad Bunny. He's an American. That's the bottom line. Okay, so his performance is going to be in Spanish.
It's possible it might
Spanish.
be English, like
Right.
Keith said. Well, here's the thing, Mike. This won't be the first time he's been at the halftime show.
Correct.
He was on
Correct.
stage with Jennifer
That's
Lopez
right.
and Shakira. Now that he's headlining the show.
But now you have a fascist regime in, and they are very vocal. They don't want to see anything but Lily. They want to see Jason, Aldean, Kid Rock, Greenwood. They can even entice Carrie Underwood or King George Strait to headline. Wouldn't that be an all-American halftime show, one fan added? That's what they want. The staunch
MAGA.
staunch, they don't want to see anything with any little bit of color in it. A little bit of color in you, they don't want to see you on that stage.
That's right.
I don't want to give too much to that, Mike.
I don't want to give too much to it either, but the responses are what they are.
Right.
Showing their colors. They don't want to see that. But bottom line is, Bad Bunny is one of the biggest performers in the world. He commands a worldwide audience, and that's what the NFL went for, wide audience.
Right.
Not a little faith and family American little audience. No, this is a worldwide audience.
The NFL is going international. I watched them from London just yesterday. They were playing in London. And to the extent that it's just another us versus them thing to feed off of for point. Bad Bunny is American by way of Puerto Rico. We went to Puerto Rico and they were bilingual. Shame on us for being so pompous that if you can't speak English, you're not worthy. They can, in a lot of cases, speak English, at least the people who serve, the people who are dealing with the foreigners, if you're not even foreigners. We go there and thank God they can communicate with us because we have the little Spanish I had, that'd be hard for us to communicate with them.
Right.
And don't hate on them because they got it going on a little bit more than you, at least from the standpoint of being bilingual. But that's all talk right now. They're trying to put it together. They don't have a venue. They don't have performers. It's a wish list. It's something that they're trying to put together. They had put something out, fake news, if you will, that Kid Rock was going to headline it, and Kid Rock hasn't committed to anything. I'm not saying that he won't or he can't, but as of now, he hasn't committed. So they don't even have any performers, and they don't even know how they would broadcast it, whether it's online or I'm not sure what space they could buy in this little bit of time, and for 20 minutes, which is ridiculous unto itself. But it just harkens back to the fact that it's a them or us strategy, and they're so ignorant. Mike Johnson suggested, I don't know who he is, which is probably likely, but then he went on to disparage without knowing the doggone thing about him and suggesting that he's not popular and people don't know who he is. You don't know who he is. 50 million, 60, 70 million people know who he is or listen to his music, and so if that's not popular, I don't know what is.
And that's just in the U.S.
It's just another divisive mechanism to spew hate and division. It is what it is. They have the choice. They don't even have to, in the name of Charlie Kirk, have an alternate show. They could just not tune in.
Yeah.
Right. Don't go away mad. Just go away.
The Turning Point organization is still trying to be relevant.
Yeah, they want to be relevant. And to a lot of people, they will be relevant. But unfortunately, their talking head is no longer amongst us.
Right.
And so until you can come up with somebody who has the same charisma or who you're able to prop up, however you prop him or her up, then you just have to be satisfied with the fact that you still, to your point, Tom, has some type of recognition and things that you can point towards or go against to remain popular. And it's just, I don't know, at the end of the day, to me, it's just ridiculous.
All right. He's a global superstar that is one of the most popular performers in the world.
Yeah.
You know, they went for, like you said, it's a worldwide audience watching the Super Bowl. They went for a worldwide entertainer.
Yes.
And it is what it is. And if some people don't like it, you don't have to watch it.
You don't
You don't own the Super Bowl. You don't make the Super Bowl rules. Just cheer for your team. For that 20 minutes, you don't want to watch them, go wash your hands, get you another plate, freshen your drink, play some cards, whatever you want to do. It is what it is. So I don't want to give it a whole lot of legs.
Right. Yeah.
Because we give them power.
True.
You know, when we give it legs, and I don't want to give them it any legs.
We talked briefly about the federal government shutdown last week, and you guys were thinking it wasn't going to last very long. And here we are, day 12. But there was a number presented that in 2018, it went 34 days.
Correct. His heels are dug in.
Yeah, and I don't... Go ahead, Mike. I'm sorry.
I'm saying it can go longer. It probably will go longer than 34 days. Mm-hmm. His heels are dug in. Sides are dug. It's what it is.
I don't remember necessarily suggesting that time outside of the fact that I said that I supported. And as people support it, to Mike's point, it could go who knows how long. Because a lot of times it's principle, but what's going on now with that big ugly bill is going to impact people in the worst way. Fighting fire with fire is the order of the day. And as bad as it is, I guess at some point somebody's going to say give. When the elections come up, the people will have a voice. If they decide not to speak loud enough for the politicians to hear, no matter the side, if they come back and say this is what we want, that's our democracy. We got to live with it, as bad as it'll be. But in the meantime, fight fire with fire. I say take as long as you need to take. And at some point, because right now, you got to feed the military. You got to have planes be able to fly successfully through the air. There are critical needs that are being impacted, and you cannot continue to ask people not to get a check, not to be able to feed their family, because you're a master psychologist. Because Trump will say to you, quite frankly, if it's snowing and he looks outside and say, that's fake snow, everybody who supports him going to believe it's fake snow. Even if they go out there, shiver, fall, and freeze, they're going to believe because he said it. And that's the thing, that master psychology, that whatever it is he has over his people is just incredible to me, that they don't know up from down anymore. And reality is no longer reality. And like I said last week, red or blue pill, red or blue pill. It's all about the matrix. People don't know anymore. not to know. I won't say they don't know. They choose
Right.
not to know.
I think it's shameful to say that you're not going to give people back pay.
That's shameful.
Well,
Yeah.
that's okay.
Legislatively,
The law is clear.
Yeah, the law is
Yeah.
clear. I think it was 2019 they
Right.
passed that and saying that it's not. That's
They said Trump
but
passed it, I think,
19.
it was
Right,
something.
right,
And now
right.
he's saying he was wrong.
He's saying that he don't want to pay because these cuts are Democratic.
Right. I know what he's saying.
Centric. Yeah.
Right. I know what
And
he's
so,
saying.
yeah, he want to get rid of as many Democrats out of the government as he can. No, he's not going to pay them. Just like
Right.
he didn't pay the people that built his tower. And he's notorious for not paying people.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, that's a long list of people he hasn't paid.
Yeah.
That's all I got.
All right. All right. The Chicago raid, I don't know if it's the right word you want to use, a raid or whatever it was, on the housing where they repelled from Black Hawk helicopters, snipers on roofs, residents who were Hispanic were in one van, residents who were African American were in another van, children with no clothes on, zip tied. As Mike calls it, the Gestapo in today's times. The mayor signed a couple of things, put it in place where they can't gather at city property like schools, library parking lots. They were gathering there to get ready to do their raids or even having a lunch break, spaces like that. So he eliminated all of that. These kids are going to have PTSD.
PTSD. They'll be
Yeah.
traumatized for who knows how long, maybe
Yeah.
for a lifetime. It's shameful. It's indicative of what Mike has been talking about all the time. It's a fascist regime, Gestapo-like treatment, total intimidation, only in minority communities. And there's no regard, no respect for people of color, period. It's disdain, total disdain for people of color, actually. And it should never happen. And the fact that their modern day K, in terms of their style, totally covering their face. I saw something where they're going to be required to uncover and begin to wear some kind of name identifiers. I don't know how true that is because all of the news that's coming out on both sides. But it is despicable that this is happening in 2025 in what was formerly the land of the free, America.
Right.
So, yeah, as he continues, I'm like Mike now. It's just I'm almost speechless because I do get angry. I can admit to being angry just by the idea that someone has so little disregard for people who don't look like them or people who don't, and it may not always be people who don't look like them, but for people who don't think like them. It's just so much hate that it should make everybody angry. And under the guise of Christianity and so forth, it's so much hypocrisy, something I didn't think I would ever see. We knew there were people who we considered ignorant who did and said things that were distasteful, but to have the leader of the free world, the president of the United States, be so hateful, and for people who support him to embrace it, not only in high positions in government, for people who voted for him, it's just hard to stomach.
Right.
It is really hard to stomach. And to imagine, I don't have to go far. I don't have little kids, but to imagine if my kids had to go through that or any of our kids. So to that extent, those kids are our kids. It just makes you angry, man. It just makes you angry because you know what? I'll be perfectly honest. I don't care if the kid was black, brown, white, yellow, red. They shouldn't have to go through that.
Right.
Kids are precious, and you should not expose them to such hate.
Right.
So, yeah, that's my feeling on the time. It just makes me angry.
Operation Midway Blitz. That's what they call this thing. Midway Blitz. These modern day Gestapo.
Blitzkrieg.
Yeah, this Gestapo behavior. You're right, Keith. They don't care about anything. There's no respect. You zip-tied American citizens for no reason at all. They went through the apartment building, busting down doors, throwing in the flashbangs, grenades, just terrorizing everybody. Same thing happened back in the 1930s and 40s when the Gestapo would raid the Jewish buildings and just round them up, take them out and shoot them.
Yeah.
At some point, he is hoping for a fight.
Yeah.
He is hoping for someone to start shooting at one lady. Well, she didn't shoot. She tried to ram him with her car, and they shot her, and she drove herself to the hospital. They want to fight so bad. They're pushing for a fight. They want brutality. They want it bloody. They don't want anybody to be defuse the situation. They don't want any respect. They don't want any. No, they rule by fear and intimidation. Don't be scared. Look them dead in the eye. Because bottom line is, they're the ones that's scared.
That's hard.
That's the bottom line.
That's hard to say, Mike, when you got people with weapons and you're unarmed.
When you're unarmed and they are armed, if it's more of you than them, I don't care how many arms they got. They can't shoot all of you. You just overrun them. Don't be scared. At some point, they are going to acquiesce. It's just going to take, just like people have said, sacrifice. It's going to take sacrifice.
Well, not the life sacrifice. I don't think we were talking about that.
That's ultimately what we're talking about. Ultimately. Right now, my sacrifice is, remember, I don't have ESPN. I hardly watch ABC for any reason. I don't watch Disney Plus at all. The only reason I have it is because it was packaged with Hulu. And I can't get Hulu standalone. And that's what I want, a standalone Hulu. Now you can't get that standalone. So it's cheaper for me to keep my package the way I have it, but just not watch that other stuff. Because I know they get a hit if I turn it on and watch it. So no, I don't watch it. So that's my sacrifice right now. I don't even watch, I got ESPN Plus and I hardly watch that. I watch Western Michigan University games, but those other teams, I don't watch them.
And you don't watch Coco?
No, Coco's on Tennis Channel. Watch Tennis Channel. Yeah, that's a whole different thing.
Sometimes on ESPN.
Though. Yeah. Now, if tennis is on ESPN, that's different. I'm not sacrificing that. I'm sorry.
That's too great a sacrifice,
right?
Mike.
That's too great a sacrifice right there.
Oh my goodness.
But I'm being facetious. Y'all know that. But back to what we were saying. Ultimately, fascists do not respond to anything. They don't respond to protest, because all the protest is telling the fascists is you won't do anything. In the end, Hitler shot himself in the head. He was a coward. In the end,
he didn't want what happened to Benito Mussolini to happen to him.
He is not. In the end, fascists are cowards. And in the end, they can't win. We've defeated them every time fascism, like I said, it's sacrifice. Look how many people died in World War II. The heck of a sacrifice. It's a terrible sacrifice.
Yeah.
It is. It's a horrible, terrible sacrifice. But in the end, fascist, you're going to lose. So it's best that you leave this country now because somebody else said this, these things have a way of correcting themselves. Unfortunately, it's not pretty.
It's not pretty.
But that's just the truth. These things have a way of correcting themselves. And ultimately, somebody's going to do something, and it's going to start a civil war. It's going to do it. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's my take.
I think that's a high probability.
Matter of time.
So the follow-up from the summer, there were protests of no thorns, no crowns, no kings. And if you got one coming up next weekend, when we meet next Monday, we can talk about it, see what happened with that. All right, gents.
I'm just going to say this real quick. I've decided that I think we had something like that here, and unfortunately, I couldn't participate. To Mike's point, we have to become more engaged. We can't just let them protest. We have to protest, too. As I've learned about these things, my goal is to participate. Your voice in your face. You're another body showing that's one more person who disagrees with what's going on. You have to be active. And we have to make a decision around whether it's discontinuing watching certain programs or shopping at certain stores. But the ultimate thing we can do is show up and let them know that we're not happy. My intent going forward is to try to be as active as possible and participate, because change does have to come.
Surprisingly, Michigan has a lot of locations that you would not think will be a part of this. But if anybody's interested, they can go to mobilize.us/NoKings. And that's for Saturday, October 18th, 2025. There are locations everywhere: Bay City, Alpena, Greenville, Holland, Novi, Oscoda, Petoskey, Rogers City, South Haven.
Oh, wow.
St. Joe, Sagatuck.
Wow.
Traverse City. Yeah, a lot of places I'm not even familiar with. Rogers City. I have no idea where Rogers City, Michigan is at. But hey, gents, always a great conversation with you guys.
Yes,
Definitely a
sir.
pleasure, definitely educational, and when Mike's on the line, always fun.
All right,
Thank
until
you,
next
thank
week.
you. All right.
All right, my brothers.
That's all the time we have this week. Be sure to hit the follow button to receive a notification when we upload a new episode. To learn more about today's topics, go to the show's description. You can text us, join us every week by becoming a follower on your favorite streaming service. If you enjoy our podcast, become a supporter. Thanks for listening. We'll be back next week with the What's Going On podcast.